Welcome back to John Wick. We're giving it up for John Wick. Hi, welcome to Film Stash. My name is Douglas Campbell.
And my name is Stephanie Hitt. And my name is Chef Boyardi.
In preparation leading up to the Ballerina, we're exploring the Wickaverse. This week we're talking about John Wick Chapter 2. What are your opening thoughts about Chapter 2 of this, saga?
So I love the film. I really do. Certain parts irritate me, but we'll get into all that later. How do you feel about the film, Douglas?
All right, so for me, this is interesting. I guess if we look at the first movie was unfranchisable. It started, you went on this adventure, and it stopped. For being a film that's a continuation of a non-franchisable premise, I think they did a pretty good job.
In starting to build the universe. Yeah.
Exactly. That's really the smart way of going about it, because you could have just killed his new dog again. That would be the very obvious, stupid choice. You just build it upon the world that you set up.
Something that I always find funny is when Julius is seeing John for the first time in the Continental at Rome. Hey, I never see you in Rome. He's like, how you doing? I have to ask, though, are you here for the Pope?
Are you going to kill the American Pope?
Why would John Wick have a reason to go after the Pope? The Pope packing. Maybe he has a thigh sheath with a whole hunting blade in it.
I was thinking in the hat, it's like a gun in there.
Not many movies have very good sequels, let alone 3 good sequels.
This film, and like the rest of the sequels, it's almost structured like the Back to the Future series, where the first film stands on its own. It's its own contained story. There really is not much leading into any sort of overarching thing or saga. But then part 2 kind of sets up the rest of the series. And that's the same with John Wick Chapter 2. Because nothing is really building up into any type of follow-up of Chapter 1. Chapter 2 and beyond, it's one overarching thing.
And I do understand what you're saying, but I feel that the end of the first movie was not exactly left open, but they didn't exactly close it off,
To me, I felt like it was pretty closed off. It kind of implied that, he got this new dog, and even though, it wasn't the gift that his late wife Helen got him, this is a representation of her. I kind of found my peace. I got revenge on, the bad guys, and the book's closed. I can move on. But they found a way to kind of reopen the book again in Chapter 2.
I don't know how to say this without, borderline insulting the films. I love them, I promise.
Do you?
Yes. The longer these films go on, they get a little bit more out there and a little bit more ridiculous. I do feel like this movie is kind of just the tipping point of the series starting to get more and more outrageous and the world blowing up a little more, because from this movie on, they introduce more characters, and then now they're okay, there's a high table, and then there are people in the high table, and then there's this and that. The first film will always be my favorite, but the second film, the film's progressively getting, it's kind of like Fast and Furious, where the first one is so legit, and then slowly you're family. Even though John knows this world, they almost place the audiences within John's perspective, because John's rusty. He's kind of rediscovering the world because things have changed in 4 or 5 years since he left. It puts the audience in his perspective because he's rediscovering this. We are discovering this. And the audience, we're learning more about the deeper world of this society. Speaking of the world building and everything, I do like that we saw more of Helen. It humanizes John a little bit more. I know that was one of the things I said in the first film is I wish we got more Helen to kind of be able to separate the man from the killing machine. We got a little bit more history behind it, Sadly, all traces of her memory were gone, except for her Daisy bracelet, of course. I felt, when he was slowly realizing that all his pictures and everything burned, I felt like I was going through it with him, I didn't just lose my house. I lost all memory of my wife.
You touch upon a point here with the ending I wanted to bring up here. The thesis of this film, at least with John and his arc, is that you can't really escape the past. You try to bury it with your wife, a life, a house, a dog, whatever. you're always going to be the killing machine. They're not subtle with this message at all. The last fight of the movie, like the big final fight, it's in like this like glass exhibit. It's like very on the nose. It's let me see if I can find it.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Okay, yeah. So I wrote it down. Exhibit of the soul.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very, very obvious.
And then it's mirrors.
Reflecting his violent nature back towards him. Like I said, it's very obvious. They had like 2 moments that, in like enforcing this message, that fit naturally within the story that I feel worked. When John thinks he's done for good, gets all his guns and all of his tokens, and he tries burying it back in the ground, but the concrete is like all crumbled up. It's on shaky foundation. Can't really bury that. The other one, which is towards the end of the movie, is him returning to his destroyed home. This facade that you've been putting on to try to escape who you are, you can't go back to it. It's completely gone. That I felt was like a very subtle way of like conveying this message, which is weird considering like most of the film, it's like blatantly obvious. This is the message of the movie. John is a killer. But those 2 scenes were like awesome. You know, it was awesome but subtle.
I don't like the switch that just flipped. It creeped me out there, man. Speaking of different, little motifs in the film, I don't know that they did this quite on purpose. The last film, it was Vigo trying to protect Yosef. It was family protecting family. And this one is,
Santino going against family.
Santino is like, I want her spot.
It's like an interesting switch on the first film that would naturally work, and like what we've been saying, to expand the world. I guess while we're talking about expanding the world, there's like a lot more violence, there's a lot more action. It really raised the stakes. The first film, he's like this invincible badass. There's really no sign that he can die. In this film, because they're expanding the world, they pit John essentially against another version of John, Cassius.
Yeah, Cassian. I loved their relationship. They kept reminding me of like kids. They crash through the window and then Julius is like, hey! And they're just both like,
sorry, Dad.
Yeah, yeah. Later on, I think they're like walking through the train station or something, but they're just like, pew pew. Pew pew.
I'm gonna like hit you when mom's not looking.
Yeah, it just kept making me laugh. Like, I don't know, like I know it's not meant to be a comedic movie, but that part always makes me chuckle.
It's because it's an interesting twist in the dynamic. It's kind of like John versus John. They're at kind of the same skill set. It's really great comedically. Really raises the stakes because it feels like John could, actually die in this one. Their 2 action sequences were awesome. That choreography I could gush all day about.
I think they put a lot more thought into like the sets too. What you said, like with the mirrors, and there was just like more glass and more big dramatic areas that they were fighting in.
The filmmakers certainly challenged themselves. It really works for these fights.
Now, for the real strife. So the beginning of John Wick 2, they are only trying to capture the energy of the previous film.
Yeah, why wouldn't they?
My nephew killed his fucking dog, and then he killed my fucking brother.
It's in case people didn't see the first John Wick.
And then Consigliere is like, why don't we just give him his car? I don't understand, this is fucking John Wick.
I mean, John probably would have took it. I
know. He lets like 20 of his men get wasted. We can't give up his car unless he kills half my team. The scene was truly just to tie up the loose ends. Hey, wait, we forgot to get his car back in the previous movie. What can we do? Let's make up an uncle who acts the exact same,
Yeah, but in its place, it's awesome. All the gun foo and the car foo, it is not cringy.
It's cringy.
I only cringed whenever the guy got hit by the car and he got rammed into the pole. That shit was so, it made me physically cringe.
We
We can't get copyrighted.
I think this is like my least favorite part of any of the films. It's just really frustrating to me. And every time I watch the movie, like that's the part I go to the bathroom on.
Yeah, you're crazy.
You know what I mean?
That
Like,
action scene was awesome.
I start the movie, and then I'm like, okay, I don't have to be in the room for this part. I'll come back in 10 minutes. Like, I do not care about that scene at all. It only frustrates me. I get nothing from that scene.
We have to move on to different antagonists and stuff. I think they killed Common too early.
It was like the end of the film. What do you mean?
I liked Cassian more than I did the deaf girl, played by Ruby Rose, or Ruby...
I don't even
Ruby something.
talk about her. Who was the Perkins of this film? She was the Perkins of this film. You remember how much I hated Perkins in the first film?
I don't think she was a convincing badass in this movie either.
She was not. She was wearing freaking heels.
But this is the world of John Wick. You could be stupid in this world. She at least fit in the world more than Perkins. Maybe it's because she doesn't have to talk. I could buy it more. I don't know.
And then at the end, at the end, John Wick had killed, like half the population already. She's like, don't worry, I'll finish this. Like, what the hell do you think you're going to do? He already kicked your ass once. What the hell do you think you're going to do that 500 other fucking guys couldn't, He's a fucking boogie. He's fucking John Wick. He killed a man with a pencil. Like, and then this bitch is like, she's like, listen, 4 seconds later, he kills her with her own weapon. It's so, God, I hate that kind of character.
I think you just hate women.
No, I love women.
You just hate women in film.
No, listen, I love women in film.
This one sucked. This bitch is horrible. Complaining about women in movies.
It's when they're being annoying fucks. I love women in films, And I would love it even more if they were a little bit more realistic. A little bit more.
But Stephanie, it's John Wick, though. It doesn't need to be realistic.
Well,
it's
she
John
needs to
Wick.
be a little more honest with herself.
No, she doesn't. She's getting a paycheck. She doesn't need to be honest. It's a movie. It's a movie.
It's a movie. It's a movie.
I'll just say, like, in terms of, like, this movie compared to the original, while it expands the world, I think because they go beyond the simplistic idea of, I'm getting revenge for you killing my wife dog, like blacka blacka. It's fun and all, but the pacing isn't as strong as the original film. It adds an extra 30 minutes. Some of it probably could have been cut or a little tighter. The action is kind of what saves it, I feel.
I think if we're going to cut anything, the thing that is least essential to the film that we should cut is Ruby Rose. Gonna cut anything.
Well, like I said,
she does nothing for the plot except for just randomly be like.
Like I said, you could have just made that character Common. It would have been a way better climax. I would
have climaxed better.
So, final score.
I would give it an 8 out of 10.
I don't know if I liked it better or not. I don't know. Like, maybe right now I'd give it a slight edge up with a 7.5 out of 10. This movie is great, for what you could have done. I thought this was a pretty good follow-up, really.
Yeah, I truly don't know what you could have done better except for cutting that dumb bit.
For watching this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm actually near my mid-year goal of 350 subscribers, but any help that you've given so far to this channel and support, I just want to say thank you. Well, that's all the time we have for today here on Film Stash. My name is Douglas Campbell.
My name is Stephanie Hitt. And my name is Chef Boyardee.
And if you excuse us, we're gonna add to the stash.